fashion with Ziyech and Werner. How excited are you?
I'm buzzing, man. I'm buzzing. I can't lie. I genuinely didn't expect us to beat him for Werner because obviously he was linked with Liverpool for so long, and I thought that he would have picked the best team in the league over us. But apparently, sources came out today that he wasn't actually linked with them. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I feel like that showed real intent going into the next season. I feel like other players that we've been linked with are going to see the project that we're trying to build and be more attracted to Chelsea. And also the players that we've got are going to be on their toes. And I think you could kind of see that in our last game. A lot of the players were playing like they've got something to prove and a lot to show. So hopefully they show that today as well.
Yeah, for sure. Just additions of more quality will only increase competition across the squad, I should say. McCubs, your side, Man United, are the side breathing down Chelsea's neck. What did you make of their performance last night against Sheffield United? I bet you're pretty happy too.
Yeah, I think United have following that first half in the first game back against Tottenham, where they did look a little bit shabby. I think they look really, really sharp now. They were clearly the better team against Sheffield United. Great to see Martial looking so sharp in the box. Obviously got that hat-trick, first Prem hat-trick for any United player since Robin van Persie. My boy Rashford, who I'm representing tonight.
Excellent.
He's missing his shooting boots at the moment, but he looks like he's coming back to full fitness, which, you know, considering he had such a long layoff before lockdown happened, I think is pretty impressive. And the same goes for Paul Pogba. Does not look like a man who's hardly played any football for a year. Looks like he's so on it, and already looks like forming a great little creative partnership with Bruno at the front of midfield. So yeah, all in all, United look pretty good. But I'm waiting for a real test because I think Spurs looked all right, but Sheffield United were definitely not a big test for United. We'll see what happens as the weeks progress.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll come back to Man United in due course. You don't have Richard Dunne on the show without asking a few questions about a few Manchester derbies and a couple of scraps in the past. But Richard, I wanted to know from you, what have you made of Man City's form since the resumption? They have just hit the ground running instantly.
Yeah, they just like you say, just hit the ground running. They look the same as what they were before. The way they pass the ball and move the ball around, I think for teams playing against them, if you've had 3 months off and then your first game's against City and you're chasing the ball, it's going to be tiring. So City have just got going again. They've played well, and I think this game means more probably tonight to Chelsea than it does to City. But when you see City play, you can never back against them. They're just so good and they keep the ball so well, and it's very, very rarely they don't score a goal. So it's I think they'll try and finish the season strong, and they've started off since the comeback. They've started well, so hopefully it continues tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's when you watch performances like the 5-0 thrashing they gave to Burnley that you struggle to comprehend how a team like that are 23 points behind. But that's where they are at the moment. McCubs, we've seen the players just coming onto the pitch right now. Kick-off just a few minutes away. Let's get our first question of the night.
Yes. Well, you've all been sending your questions in throughout the day on Instagram and Twitter. Also get them down below. Don't forget to do the hashtag TFS on Twitter if you want to get them in as well. I'm just getting the first one up now. This one comes from _ebuke. Not necessarily to do with tonight, but alluding to what Richard has been saying about Man City. And I guess it's for all of you, really. Who do you think is going to win the Champions League this season?
Oh, Richard, why don't you kick us off?
I think the two best teams in Europe at the moment are Liverpool and Man City. I think Liverpool obviously are out of the competition now, so you'd have to fancy Man City. I think the way they play football is suited to a small competition like that the Champions League's now become. I think they've got time between now and August to get their players really back up to full speed, and yeah, I think they'll be a force to reckon with when it starts. And they have that hunger. They've missed out on the league, I think, this season, so to finish the season with a Champions League, possibly with an FA Cup and obviously the League Cup, it'll be looked upon as a great season for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that would be a phenomenal season, as you say, and, you know, finally break that Champions League duck that they've been searching for so long. Oba, you saw firsthand the strength of Bayern Munich in the last 16. Would you say they're also in the mix as well?
You didn't have to phrase it like that, Doogie. I was already going to say that they're my favourites. But yeah, no, I think Bayern are my favourites, not only because of how strong their team is, but also the fact that they've already won their league. They're going to be able to rotate their players a bit more. They're going to be able to rest a bit more now that they've won the league, and the fact that they started their league earlier, so their players are going to be in the rhythm a bit more compared to other teams like PSG. I would have put PSG up there, but to not play football for that long and then go straight into a tournament is going to definitely affect their players. So for me, I think Bayern Munich are definitely favourites. I think they'll definitely be in the final as well.
Yeah, it'd be tough to beat Bayern Munich. They put together such a run of form under Hansi Flick. McCubs, you've got some Spanish sort of heritage, as it were. Would you put Barcelona in the mix as well?
I think you have to always put them in there. Any team with Messi in there, it always has a chance, don't they? Especially, when there's only one leg in the quarter and semis. But I don't know. I still think they're in the bracket below Man City and Bayern Munich at this stage. I just don't think there's enough in the rest of the team. To suggest that they'll go all the way, but you never know. When it's just one leg, anything can happen. Especially at a neutral venue as well. I'd give them as good a chance as they've had in the last 3 years, but I don't think they've ever really been favourites in the last 2 or 3 years, really.
Yeah, good point made about anything can happen.
Sorry, I just wanted to know. Was that a joke or is that real? Do you have some Spanish in you that I didn't know?
I've got some family in Catalonia. Yeah.
Don Michael, can you not tell from his lovely complexion?
I don't. I'm not. I must put it out there. It's not blood relation. It's very much kind of adopted family. So I don't have actual Spanish blood, but I've got Spanish culture in me, as it were.
Claim it, bro. Claim it.
I liked the phrase in there, anything can happen, and that's what we're very much taking into tonight's game. To reiterate just before kickoff, Man City have to win to make sure that Liverpool don't win the title tonight. Richard, were you surprised that Pep Guardiola didn't choose to start Gabriel Jesus?
Again, I can understand it because you're looking at the season as a whole and the long-term plan for the season, and I think if they to lose another striker, it'd be serious trouble for them going into the Champions League. So I can understand. And just looking at the setup there, it looks like Bernardo Silva's actually playing through the middle at the moment. But as the game goes on, I can imagine the front three there will change a lot. But in terms of Jesus, he'll play games, he'll get minutes. But depending on how long Aguero's out for, they're really going to need him when it comes to the critical point in the Champions League.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but you're perhaps right there. Maybe Pep looking ahead. And Bernardo Silva has played at false nine. I seem to remember in one of the games against Man United, he started at false nine to not actually particularly good effect. I think United actually won that game. But it's been a pretty full-on start from both sides attacking with a bit of venom. Oba, were you surprised, talking about a sort of someone that missed out from your starting 11, that Jorginho didn't go back into the starting 11, or potentially Kovacic as well?
Yeah, I'm more surprised at Kovacic, to be honest, because I know this game is going to be quite cagey, and especially when we're on the ball because they press so high, and when we have the ball, we're going to have to take care. And I'm not really sure with the decision of starting Barkley and Mount, but maybe he just wants a lot of energy up top and maybe a killer pass that we've been lacking sometimes in the final third. So hopefully it works out, but I did question it when I saw the team lineups.
Yeah, I was slightly concerned by it as well. It's quite an attacking midfield to go up against Man City. And Chelsea have actually only kept one clean sheet in their last 11 games as well. So they've been far from sort of defensively solid, at least consistently this season. So that will be something to keep an eye on tonight. Richard, I wanted to ask you, Fernandinho playing at centre-back tonight. I mean, what is it like for Pep Guardiola having a player like Fernandinho who can comfortably split his time between midfield and defence?
Right, it's important for the squad to have players like that who can play in different positions, but I'm sure he'd rather have a centre-half there. You know, I think Fernandinho does such a good job in centre midfield that it's great having him there and being able to use him at the back, but I think you miss him when he's not in centre midfield. I think over the summer again they're going to have to try and spend on a centre-back, try and find a good one out there. But he never lets you down, Fernandinho. But I just feel that he offers the team so much more when he plays in a central midfield role. I think everyone feels a little bit more comfortable with him there. And it's he's such a good player. He can play anywhere. But for me, my preference would be that he's in centre midfield.
Yeah, for sure. Just an absolute phenomenon at 35 and still going so well. It's taken years for him to be properly appreciated in the Premier League for what he is, which is a superb all-round player. Richard, you touched on it before about Laporte's injury. I mean, just how massive was that for City's title defence?
Huge. It messed everything up. I think the way City played it, Laporte's a really good defender, but one of the things that he's left-footed as well. So playing out on that side, it opens the pitch up a lot more, being able to change it from side to side like we see there. And it's, I don't think anyone really City-wise has had massive confidence in Otamendi for a while. You know, I think he's good. He's decent when he was alongside Kompany, who could guide him through games. But and also John Stones this season, he's struggled with injuries. He's struggled with form and confidence probably. So Laporte is the one that they've been looking to, and for him to miss such a huge part of the season was a massive blow for them. And you can see since he's come back, the quality that he has, not just in the defending, like I say, but also bringing the ball out of defence and driving the team forward. And it's it's like any team, you miss your best centre back, it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you make a good point about his ability to bring the ball out of defence. I don't think there's not really a centre back like him on the ball, in my belief, in the Premier League, along with Van Dijk. He's streets ahead of everyone else in that respect. McCubs, what are the comments saying at this early stage? Do you have a question lined up?
We've got loads of questions lined up. As for the comments, nothing really happening at the moment. I think the fans are just waiting for something to react to in the game. But as for questions that we've had throughout the day, one for Richard. This comes from Darren on Twitter. Obviously, Manchester City over the last few years have had a number of star-studded players pass through. But during your era as well, there was some real quality at Man City. Who was your favourite player to play with?
Oh, great question.
We probably never had the greatest of teams. We had certain players who, when they came and they played, they were brilliant, you know. But as a team, we were a mid-table side. We were a team that had come up from the Championship and trying to consolidate, and then obviously the takeover happened and the side moved on a lot. But I think throughout the period just before, when we had Sean Roy-Phillips, before he actually went to Chelsea, he was unbelievable. He was unplayable at times, you know. He would win games single-handedly, and to be able to, I was there at the start of his career almost as he was playing, learning the game, and the way to watch him play with such freedom and such carefree, you know, he'd work as hard as anyone. He'd be up and down the pitch like mad, and he had everything, you know. And he was a great player and also a great teammate. He was someone who would work so hard and be amongst everything, be a teammate, what you want, and people like him. We had Nicolas Anelka, who was a top player as well, and there was quite a few that we got through, and it was a really enjoyable period for me to play there.
What's it like, Richard, when you see someone like Sean Wright-Phillips, who you rate so much as a teammate, take a step on at that time and join Chelsea? I mean, how does the dressing room sort of react?
It's disappointing. Sean lived 3 or 4 doors down from me at the time, you know, and we had a chat about her, and the stage he was in his career and the way Chelsea were going, and Chelsea were winning leagues and doing great things, and Man City at the time, we weren't in that bracket of club where we could go and challenge for titles. And for Sean, it was a case of going, and he'd done what he could at Man City. He'd done everything. He brought us a long way. He performed. He was a fan's favourite and stuff. And he had to go and try and win leagues and play for England and do all that. And he succeeded in it, you know. So it was a good move. But for us left behind, then obviously, one of our main threats is gone, and it takes 2 men to try and replace him at times. But it was the way City was. We were more of a selling club. If we could get a good player and move him on to make some money, I think the club needed it to keep going. And we go and pick another player up and hopefully sell him again in the future. But it was disappointing to lose Sean. It was each time when Micah Richards coming through, there was talk of him going to Spurs. We're just starting to build a side, and here's another one of our stars going away, you know. So it was But yeah, it was a disappointment to lose Sean.
For sure. I mean, Richard, you were there for I think it was 1 year after the takeover.
Yeah.
How much did the club change in that first year?
Hard to say. I mean, there's obviously a lot of work going on in the background over that year. I think the expectations grew instantly. You know, we didn't sign a load of players instantly, but instantly the expectations were that we were going to challenge for the league, and it takes time to do that. It takes time to build a squad. We were still at the Carrington training ground, obviously, so not what they're at now. And I think more than that, I think it was the expectation and the belief in the club started to rise. The fact that we had owners who were going to seriously invest in the club, and I think players like myself and other players at the club at the time, we knew that they were looking at the best players in the world. They weren't looking at players from just the Premier League or just clubs in and around them. They were looking at the best players in the world, so it was always going to be difficult. And the club made the decisions, moved players on, brought new ones in, and they've done amazing. And you just have to look at the results. And for what they've done on the pitch is brilliant, but just to look at the club as a whole, how they've progressed. We've got 9 other clubs now that they owned, and the whole philosophy, the whole club seems to be just football based. They seem to love football, and they've invested a lot in the Manchester area. So it's been a really, really successful takeover.
Yeah, for sure. The Man City group, with their sort of colony clubs, for want of a better word, all around the world, they are quite a movement now. But let's take it to Chelsea, because they've started this game on the back foot. But in a more broader sense, what have you made of Lampard's first year at Chelsea?
I think he's done amazing, man. I think he's brought a belief in the squad. He's brought confidence out of players that were kind of struggling after Sarri. That appointment after Sarri was so crucial. And obviously he had a lot of doubts. He had a lot of people questioning his appointment, questioning whether he was the right man after we had a year ban. But I think he's proven everyone wrong. The fact that we're in contention with the top 4 places and we're so close to Leicester, like, he's literally done what he needed to do. I think next year there's going to be a lot more pressure on him, because obviously he's getting the players that he wants, and the fact that our team is going to be a lot more well-rounded. So I think next season is a year that people can really, really question him on. But this season, I think he's done amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just want to seal that 4th place, although 5th looks like it will be enough to get Champions League football this year, with Man City's potential Champions League ban incoming. McCubs, let's briefly touch on your manager in Solskjaer, because he came in for a hell of a lot of criticism about this time last year, but seems to have steadied the ship really well in the last few months. How impressed have you been with Solskjaer?
Yeah, really impressed, actually. I think myself included, I was really having my doubts about him around probably this time last year, especially last summer, where there really wasn't a lot of activity aside from the signing of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, Daniel James came in as well, but he was never really supposed to be a regular starter. And even up until Christmas this year, it didn't look particularly great for United. I think missing Paul Pogba from the start of the season was obviously a big thing, and there just didn't really seem to be much of a scope for growth in that team. But yeah, since January, pretty much, or maybe even a little bit earlier, just the performances have really come together. The signing of Bruno is massive. I think that alone has kept Solskjaer a lot safer in the short term, at least. And I think there is scope for, obviously, United. You know, if they qualify for the Champions League, I think that will definitely be seen as a job well done. I still have my doubts whether Solskjaer can deliver, what's really expected at United, which is obviously getting back to winning Premier Leagues. I think the jury's still out on that. But as for what United's ambitions are right now, which is being a regular Champions League club,
oh my God,
I think Solskjaer has shown, at least in the last 6 months, that he's ready to take up that mantle.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves an awful lot of credit. I myself have been a bit of a critic of him at times in the last 12 months, particularly at the back end of last year when they were losing to Cardiff, and I think it was Huddersfield as well. And that sort of big movement that seemed to come in when he replaced Jose Mourinho seems to sort of dissipate. Here we go, though. Chelsea on the attack.
Here we go. Mason Mount was in there.
Talk us through what went down there.
I think that was a counter-attack from a Giroud beautiful flick on the halfway line. Pulisic pushed it forward, and Aspie, as usual, picked a good final pass to Willian. He pushed it into the penalty box, but I think they just cleared it in time. It's a corner for Chelsea now. But I think that's how we're going to have to play. We're going to have to play this game. A lot of pressure is going to be on us. So the chances that we get, we're going to have to make sure the final pass is good.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed with how Chelsea managed to counter so quickly there. Oba, you mentioned Azpilicueta at right back there, picking the right pass. Have you been surprised that it's been Azpilicueta, not Reece James, that started at right back in your last 2 games?
No, I think we need Azpilicueta to start. If it's not right back, then it has to be left back. I think people underestimate how much he does for that back line. He marshals the wingers in front of him. He marshals the centre backs next to him, and he's so good going forward. And even in these latter years of his career, he's still doing what he's been doing for Chelsea. So you have to start Aspie. You have to.
Yeah, such a reliable performer for so many years now, with an absolutely insane injury record as well. He's rarely injured. He's consistently above sort of 34 games a season. He's just been incredible. Richard, let's go to someone at the other end of the sort of experience scale.
Becoming set. That's my framed vintage United poster gone.
Oh, hopefully that's not a sign for your season, because that is hilarious.
That's never happened before. That's never ever happened before. So that is
the perils of working
that is
from
ominous. Home. That is ominous. I'm quite worried.
A football social from home is always going to have a couple of issues. That is hilarious. Richard, I was going to ask you about the former Phil Foden, because he started so well against Burnley. Were you surprised that he wasn't in this lineup?
He certainly deserved the place in the team. You know, his performance was out. There's a trouble. Chelsea are on the edge.
What's going on?
That was bizarre.
Kepa loves doing a madness. Kepa tried to clip it to Alonso, and I think Sterling got in the way of it. And Bernardo was literally standing in front of Kepa. Luckily, the ball didn't drop fast enough. But if it did, that could have been a goal easily. Come on, Kepa, get your head in the game, man. You're one of the players that can get replaced as well, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come on to Kepa in due course. Richard, sorry, you were saying about Foden. I mean, how impressed have you been with his development and his performance in the last game?
The game against Burnley, he was outstanding. He was absolutely brilliant. But it's like that at Man City. They've got, you look at the midfield now, and everyone who doesn't play, you would think, well, why is he not playing? Why is he not playing? So Phil Foden's still in the development stage at Man City. He's certainly, I think, more than good enough now to be considered a serious first-team player. If they need to play a game against Barcelona or against Bayern Munich, you wouldn't have any problems about putting Phil Foden in. I think it's now just a case of the manager choosing players for games. Phil played the other night against Burnley and done really well, and tonight maybe just wanted to freshen it up a bit. But I think, as people have been saying about, he's not getting enough minutes, he's not getting enough time, but you see his performance and you think what he's doing every day in training. He's now... Rather than potential, I think he's a first-team player at City. It's just whether the manager chooses him from week or how he gets along with it.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see whether he steps into that midfield berth when David Silva departs this summer. I mean, Richard, we had Julian Lescott on last week, and he was saying that David Silva, best player he's ever worked with, absolute legend at Man City. I mean, how highly do the Man City community hold David Silva?
Just have to look at what he's done. You watch him every game. You watch him. He's just amazing to watch. It looks so easy for him, you know. And he's probably the first superstar that City got. You know, the one that really made the whole team gel. And even now, 10 years later, he's still the one that makes the team tick. He's a phenomenal player, and the fact that City have had the best years out of him, they've had him for a long time. He's produced non-stop, and people try and mark him out again. And you just can't get near him. I played against him when I was at Aston Villa, and you try and go in for a tackle, and before you're anywhere near it, he's turned and he's gone in a different direction. And it's one of those, as an opposition player, you just wish he wasn't playing, I suppose. But then as a fan, when you're watching him, you just think he's amazing. He's just so easy. He makes the whole team sort of click as he goes along. He's the one that links between the defence up to the front man, and yeah, he seems as well a very humble person, you know. So you want people like that who are to do well. And yeah, he's been outstanding. He's been probably one of his best ever.
What's the save?
Good save, Kepa. Good save.
Oh, talk us through this, Richard. So what happens here?
Yeah, just a straightforward ball into the box, and he makes a run and gets across that near post. And I don't know who that player is.
I think it's Fernandinho.
Fernandinho with the header, but I don't know who was marking him originally, and then he gets in front of the fella at the near post, and it's a good save actually, keeper. But too easy for Fernandinho to get in there. Your mate was
way too easy.
Man City have another corner. We'll just bring you this corner, and then we have a price boost for you just inside the 20-minute mark in this. But here we go, corner to Man City, and cleared away by Rudiger quite easily. But yeah, let's have a look at this price boost. Okay, Sky Bet have served us up a doozy here. Giroud to score was 3-1, now 10-3. Get involved with that one, guys. Gamble responsibly, and you've got to be 18 plus. But well done, Sky Bet. I love the look of that one. Oba, Giroud, I mean, we saw him with that counter-attack have a nice flick around the corner, but are you confident that he could score in the next, 70 minutes or so?
Yeah, the thing is, Giroud's record against City is actually quite good. I'm just looking here now, and I think in his last four starts against City, he scored. So hopefully he keeps that run going. And I also think the wingers that are playing with him, Pulisic and Willian, are good at feeding him. So hopefully if we get in the final third, they pick him out. And it's the same old story.
Yeah, he certainly knows. I mean, he finished really effectively in that game against Villa to wrap up the points. And while we're talking about Chelsea, it's important to bear in mind, I read this stat today, I absolutely loved it. The last 12 champions to visit Chelsea the following year, they've beaten. So Chelsea love ruining parties, and they'll be out to take another scalp tonight in Man City. McCubs, cagey start to the game so far. Kepa looking a bit cagey as well. But what are the comments saying? Have we got any good questions?
Not many questions in here. Like I said, get some proper questions in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer them. There's lots of people saying FC Barcelona has said goal to City, trying to catch us out there. Harry CR7 saying come on City. Angela Jenkins saying come on City. There seems to be a lot of City heads in there tonight.
Where's my Chelsea boys? Come on lads, get in the stream.
And I've also just noticed that my the clip of me my set falling apart is already doing the rounds on Twitter. So well done, the social team, for getting on that quickly. We did have one question, though, from Oliver Edwards about 10 minutes ago down in the comments. Hopefully you're still watching, Oliver. He wants to know who you guys think is going to win the FA Cup this year.
Oh, Richard, who do you reckon?
Such a strange competition this year, obviously with no fans there, and whether... Again, I can't look past City. I think they've had a massive disappointment in the league this season, and for them to come out this year with a successful campaign, I think they need to win cups. And certainly, you would look at the FA Cup is probably a bit easier to win than the Champions League. So City will go for it. You look at Jesus not playing tonight on the basis that he's being rested for the game at the weekend in the cup. So it's maybe Pep's already prioritising the cup competitions this year, but then. It's the FA Cup's great. The FA Cup's great because it's open. Everyone can win. Everyone can beat each other, and it'll be tough to call. But I can't look past City for it.
I mean, fair enough. Domestic treble last year. So much dominance in the League Cup as well. Excellent cup team. It's not a bad bet. There is a lot of competition still in it, though. Arsenal, Man United are still in it, and Chelsea are still in it as well. But you've got Leicester, I believe, this weekend. Are you hoping for another cup win?
Yeah, my heart's telling me that Chelsea are going to win it. I can't lie. And sometimes my heart is right. So I'm going to go with my heart. But if I'm going to go with my mind, I'm going to have to agree with Richard and say that City are going to go for all the trophies that they're in right now. And I can see them doing the FA and Champions League double, man. Even treble, because they've won the Carabao as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. A treble of trophies. McCubs, I mean, it's been a little while since Man United won an FA Cup. I think it was in 2016.
2016,
Do you feel like this Man United side could be good in those cup competitions?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we've got Norwich on Saturday. I think, to be fair, Norwich will probably be quite up for it. They're pretty much as good as relegated now, aren't they? So I don't think they've really got anything to lose in the FA Cup. They'll be playing a full-strength side, I expect. So I don't think that's going to be an easy game by any means, but I do think there is a pretty good feeling around the United camp at the moment. A lot of players have come into form a lot quicker than we expected after lockdown. So yeah, I think United have a good chance. But like I said, I think I would have to agree with Richard, to be honest. I think when you look at the strength of the teams, when you look at the kind of ease with which City can rotate that squad as well at this stage of the season, yeah, you've got to put them as the favourites. I think I backed them when we did our predictions on We Need to Talk a couple of weeks ago, and I think if I was a betting man, I'd go for that. I'd go for City.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, 23 minutes in, we're just seeing a drinks break here. It's still 0-0 at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Man City. Man City obviously know that they have to win to prevent Liverpool winning the title tonight. But seeing as there's a break in play, Richard, I've just wanted to ask you, a personal question from your career. Obviously, you had incredible success at Man City. The two Man City fans that I work with, James Wayne and Kieran Carlin, hold you in the highest of regards. How difficult was it after 4 Players of the Year at Man City to leave in, I think it was 2009-10, ahead of that season? How difficult was that move?
Yeah, it was very hard. It was. I grew up at City basically. I was there from 20, so from being a young man into growing into a mature person, it was a great experience for me. I loved being there and I really enjoyed it. But I also know I'm realistic. I know there's better players in the world, and the club wanted to move forward and stuff like that. And they went and they found new players. They went a different way. I was at the club a long time. I'm very grateful for it. But clubs need change sometimes. And yeah, as hard as it was, it's you would love to think that you're irreplaceable. But football is football, and you see the players every summer. Players are moved on from clubs, and they go on and carry on with their career. And that's what I done. I went and I had a good time at Aston Villa and enjoyed my time at QPR. But Man City certainly was a time when I felt like I grew up as a person. So not only just on the football, in everything, it was sort of, it was a big period of my life, and it was disappointing to leave in the end. But it's different if I left and they got relegated. But they went on and won the league and won the league again and won the league again. They've done really well. So it's that's football, you know what I mean? That happens, and obviously you're disappointed, but then the next day you're playing for a club and you're playing against them, so you have to just move on. You have to focus on it quickly, and it's I've said it before, it's part and parcel of football, and nobody wants to be the one that has to leave and has to be pushed out, but it's the way it goes, and it's I've no bitterness towards City or anything like that. I think they're a great club, and I think they'll continue to be successful for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And you went on. Sorry, McCubbs.
Yeah, you go for it, Diggs.
I was just going to ask, before we go and touch on your time at Aston Villa, which was pretty successful, finishing 6th, reaching a League Cup final, etc. There's one phrase that always sticks in my mind about the end of you at Man City, and that was from Gary Cook when he said, "The name Richard Dunne doesn't roll off the tongue in Beijing," is the reported phrase that he said when they were thinking about moving on into this new crop of international players, as you say. Was that quite hurtful at the time to hear someone high up in the club say that?
This sounds bad, but if it came from somebody who were respected, well, then it would be. But I think Gary Cook went on to say some much worse things about other players and stuff like that, and so it didn't affect me, you know what I mean? It wouldn't bother me. I know quite well I'm not a superstar that everybody in China has my name or on the back of a jersey, I quite understand that, but it's not the right thing, I don't think, for a chief executive to say. But as it was proven, I suppose, later on in his term, that he quite often said silly things. So it's hard because it's like you're asking me about someone that doesn't really to me, he doesn't represent Man City. He doesn't represent what Man City's about. So
yeah,
it doesn't really matter to me what he says.
Fair enough. And I know, having spoken to Man City fans, that you're definitely, held in the highest of regard there. I mean, Kieran Carlin and James Wayne literally idolise you. So I'd ignore Gary Cook's phrases completely. McCubs, what was your question that you were going to ask? Sorry.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask something. Yeah, something also kind of, I guess, around your departure from Man City at the time. Obviously, Vincent Kompany effectively kind of replaced you as captain. Was there, and obviously he went on to achieve great things at the club too. Was there any? Did you have any kind of passing kind of words to Kompany, or did you always kind of see him as someone who could lead the club?
Yeah, Vincent Kompany was a very had massive potential from the age of 16. I think he was playing at Anderlecht. He was a player who was highly thought of, and for us to get him at Man City at the time that we got him, and I think we got him for a reasonably cheap deal. I think it was an amazing signing for us. And as soon as he came into the club, he was someone that you could see that he was a new sort of generation of player, I suppose, in terms of he was focused. He wanted to win leagues, and Man City probably didn't have that mentality at the time, and he was the one who started to change it. It's not all right to be mid-table. It's not all right to be winning this week and losing the next week, And he had a determination. He had problems, I think, when he was younger, and also when he came in with us, where he was injured and he missed a few games. But he was someone who would always be around the dressing room on match day. He was someone who would try and just support the team, even at a young age. Even at, I think he was in his early 20s when he came to the club. So he was a player that you knew would be there for the long term. Someone who was playing centre midfield when he came originally, just playing in the number 6, and the odd time he played centre back alongside me. But he was an excellent player and an excellent sort of candidate to be the captain, to be someone who could bring the club onto the next level. And what he's done since I left, and what he done while I was there was great. But what he done since I left was he brought the club into a new area, into a new level of put them in the next bracket, I suppose. They were a good, solid Premier League team, and when takeover happened, and obviously with Vincent there being the captain, he was the one that pushed them forward into being a team that challenges for the Champions League. And I think the biggest thing for him is every time he didn't play, he was missed. People missed him. People knew, even as he was getting older, and even at stages this season, when he's not there, he's being missed. And I think as much as that, and his influence around the training ground, around the dressing room, is something that will have been missed. And certainly at the early start of the season, when the Laporte was injured, just watch this for a sec. Yeah, just when Laporte was injured and you're looking for that leader maybe, and someone on the pitch to keep things steady, he was the one they've looked to for the last 10 years, and he was gone. So he's someone that when he came, he had high potential, and he more than reached his potential.
Yeah, what a phenomenal impact from a phenomenal player and leader. Guys, 30 minutes has gone, but we've got another price boost. Here we go. Sterling to score the first goal was 5-1. It's now 6-1. Guys, get involved with that via Sky Bet. You have to be over 18, and please gamble responsibly. But yeah, Man City probably edged it in terms of possession and chances, Sam. But what have you made of Chelsea this half?
I think we're containing them quite well, to be honest. We're defending in numbers, and even when we're going forward, we're looking quite. Oh my gosh! We're looking
what just
kind of
happened,
dangerous
it's
going
still
forward.
live.
There we go.
Go on!
No!
Was he off or on? Oh
nice
my gosh! We just had like three chances in one.
Obba, talk us through what went down there.
A lot went down there, but William was driving forward. He played in Barkley. Barkley, I believe, he crossed it, and Giroud was so close to getting there. And then Alonso put in another brilliant ball for Mount, and he just couldn't strike it properly. We've got a corner out of it, and that's what I'm saying. We're looking kind of dangerous going forward. So I'm liking the way we're playing right now, to be honest.
there we go.
Oh, it's a great save
no.
from Edison.
Great save
All
from
Chelsea
Edison.
at the moment. That's another from the resulting corner. Williams swung it in, and I believe it was Giroud just a couple of yards out, coming back onto it, and it's a solid save by Edison.
If that was Alonso on the rebound, that would have been a goal, 100%.
That is disappointing.
It just passed him, didn't it?
Some massive opportunities for Chelsea after 32 minutes in this game. Sorry, the chance was the header was from Christensen rather than Giroud. Good save from Edison. Richard, as a Man City fan with Man City allegiances in this game, I mean, will that sort of phase of play worry you?
Yeah, they've done it a couple of times when they break Chelsea. They look dangerous, and I think City are putting a lot of players forward, so they're giving Chelsea, and that's probably why it's Mount and Barkley, two lads who can get up and down the pitch really quickly, who are in there. Just looking at City, and they're playing some really nice football, but now you start to think, well, could they have done with Jesus today? They're just missing that centre forward, that focal point of their attacks. They seem to great in possession, but just when they get to the box, it's just not that final movement that you'd normally get from a recognised centre forward.
Yeah. On the topic of centre forwards, who do you think was the best forward that you ever played with?
I had 20 years playing international football alongside Robbie Keane, and before that I played against them in schoolboy football over in Ireland, So I knew him from the time he was 11 years old, and he was always a tricky one to play against. His movement was brilliant, his finishing was top class, and he was a tough player to play against, but a great player to play with. I think also I was fortunate at Man City that I played it with quite a few good strikers, and Nicholas Anelka, when he came, was outstanding. He was a player again who could win games single-handedly, and he went on. Obviously, he had some issues at Arsenal or whatever, or at Real Madrid and different clubs like that. But I think the quality that he had was outstanding. I think from there he went on to Chelsea and done really well at Chelsea. So he was a really top striker.
Yeah, Nicholas Anelka was a fantastic Premier League striker, an incredible goal record for so many different teams as well. Possibly missed, longevity at one club to be, described as a true Premier League legend. But Chelsea have a break here, Albert.
Go on, Pulisic.
There we go.
Skipped him.
There we go. Oh, what a goal! What a goal!
Pulisic, Captain America. Oh my
Calm finish.
Captain America. I told people about him. I said he is a guy, and when he comes back from his injury, he's going to be on. See. Oh my days! Yes,
2 goals in 2 games for Pulisic. Obviously, massive impact in the Villa game. Oba, talk us through this goal.
Mendy was so indecisive on the edge of the penalty.
Who gives that away?
Mendy and Rodri were in a mix-up in the middle of the pitch, and then Pulisic just stepped in. He beat them both, and then a cool finish at the end to get another goal.
What phenomenal pace. And after a 60-yard run, to have the calmness and the presence of mind just to open his body up, curl it into the bottom left-hand corner of Edison's net. Massive, massive goal for Chelsea, and huge goal for Liverpool, of course, as well. At the moment, the 30 years of hurt are coming to an end as it stands, with Chelsea taking a 1-0 lead in this game on the 36-minute mark. What a goal from Christian Pulisic. I mean, Richard, what's your response to that? I mean, are you from a defensive point of view, if you're Guardiola, are you ripping strips off of Mendy and Gundogan there at the back for not doing that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a simple action that they've done. I mean, it's just a zero communication. They've not sorted out amongst themselves, but it's little slips like that where they're 23 points behind. So Pulisic took it really well, but defensively, it's an...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it puts even more pressure on Benjamin Mendy, Richard, who has had a lot of injury issues. But there is talk of, some people in the papers are suggesting that Man City should move on from Benjamin Mendy and get a more, less injury-prone left-back. If you were Guardiola, would you be looking to replace Mendy?
It's a difficult one because he's not in the team for his defensive attributes. He's in the team because he gets forward and he gets crosses in, and I think that's what Pep seems to like, is attacking fullbacks. But even an attacking fullback needs to be able to do basic stuff and to be able to organise when you're attacking, organise, get ready, be prepared, and just zero communication chance.
So free kick from Man City, and he just played it out to Mahrez on the edge of the area. Really cleverly worked from De Bruyne, and then Mahrez goes for the curler, similar to position to Nicola Pepe's goal against Brighton the other day, but it's just over the bar, aiming for that top left corner. You're suggesting, Richard, that Guardiola should keep faith with Mendy for his attacking attributes.
I think that's what City do. They play games to try and win. They've got two centre backs and the number 6 really, who are the guys who do a lot of the defensive stuff. But I think there's more. I think with Mendy, they've had issues maybe with social media and his effort in training and different things like that. So you can get away with it when you're playing well and you're creating goals and playing every week. But if you're in the team and you're harming the side defensively as well, I don't think Pep will take too kindly to moments like that he's just done now.
Yeah, no, wasn't an ideal moment for Benjamin Mendy, with question marks over his future at Man City by the day. Oba, let's talk about Christian Pulisic, because some people have speculated that with Hakim Ziyech coming in and Timo Werner in this summer, that his place in the starting lineup might be under threat. Do you think it's sort of raised his game in the last 2 games?
Yeah, 100%. I can tell he thrives under pressure, and I feel like the team that he came into originally at Chelsea, the fact that he wasn't playing and the first few games he wasn't getting goals, he wasn't getting assists, and I think Lampard lost a bit of faith in him. And then before his injury, he started getting a few goals, and then he got injured again. But now you can tell he's straight back on it, and it's nice to see, man. It's nice to see players actually fighting for their spots and not just accepting the fact, okay, yeah, we've got a player coming in the summer, but I still want to start in this team, and you can tell he's on it already.
Yeah, for sure. It seems to have risen the level of Pulisic's game, which is exactly what you'd want to see. So we're approaching the 40-minute mark, and as it stands, Chelsea are 1-0 up against Man City at Stamford Bridge. And as I said before, they've beaten the champions in all 12 of their last home fixtures against them the following year, and that looks set to continue. McCubs, let's talk about Timo Werner. So his signing was announced a couple of weeks ago. What can Chelsea fans expect from him?
Wow. I mean, he's, maybe the best striker in Europe under the age of 24, to be honest. I mean, if you take Mbappe out of it you wouldn't consider him a pure number 9. And I guess Werner isn't necessarily a pure number 9 either. He can create as well. He can drift out to the right, which means that you could even see him and Tammy Abraham kind of integrated into a 4-3-3 or however Lampard wants to do it. But it doesn't necessarily need to be a choice between him or Tammy starting. I feel like Tammy will probably see less game time as a result, but I think as Oba and many other Chelsea fans may agree, that maybe it is time for Tammy Abraham to maybe not be in the team every week. He obviously, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders towards the start of the season, wasn't there, after he was producing so much, and kind of as the season kind of progressed and Chelsea's form dropped off a little bit. I think he kind of came in for a bit of unfair criticism, to be honest. I think he's a player who could potentially just take that Chelsea attack to a completely new level, the kind that we've not really seen for a while. I think hugely exciting times for Chelsea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every title winner over the last few years has always had strength in depth at centre forward, and with Chelsea having to rely on Giroud, who's played well in the last couple of games, and Batshuayi is their backup to Abraham. This is a step above. This is one of the most lethal strikers in Europe who can also play on the left wing, coming in to make a massive difference to your side. And it's worth noting that although Liverpool are of course on for their title as it stands, that Chelsea are actually going 1 point behind Leicester as it stands if the result stays the same. So this is a massive result, not only in the context of the title, but the Champions League as well. McCubs, how is it frustrating as a Man United fan putting in such a good performance against Sheffield United last night and then seeing Chelsea respond so well tonight and nick that goal?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a bit frustrating, but at the same time, I think as good as United have, as well as United have improved over the last 5 or 6 months as a whole, I think when you look back at the season, I think it's you can't argue with Chelsea being above United in the league, really. They started the season much stronger. Their squad is overall clearly better. So I can't really complain. I mean, you know, we've seen United take apart City a couple of times this season as well, so I'm not too sad about that. But yeah, I think if Chelsea were to win today and consolidate that fourth spot, I wouldn't begrudge them. Again, going with my head, I think when we did all our predictions for the end of the season, I did predict Chelsea to. I think I predicted Chelsea to come third, actually, above Leicester, and for United just to miss out on top four. So I wouldn't be. I'm not too frustrated by it as it is. I think from a United perspective, all you want to see really is United perform consistently and well and play good football until the end of the season. And if that gets you top four, then it does. If it doesn't, then c'est la vie. But I've got actually another Chelsea-orientated question from the comments down below. Thanks for getting them in, by the way. You definitely heeded my call. Luke Oldfield was asking, what do Chelsea need to do to secure a title within the next 5 years? Obviously, we've become very used to thinking about the Premier League title just in terms of Man City or Liverpool, and I, for one, think they're still going to be the two favourites next season. But I guess it's to all of you, but specifically, Oba, what do you think are the main things that are needed in terms of transfers to really make Chelsea credible title challengers?
I don't think we need that much, to be fair. I think we need a left back, another centre back, and maybe another a keeper to replace Kepa. However, I do think that we should give him time, and the main reason I say that is he just reminds me so much of David De Gea when he came to United at first, and obviously David De Gea had that first season where people were questioning him so much, and then he ended up being the best keeper in the league. So I see that Kepa has that heart, he has the drive, he's good with his feet, he's a good shot stopper. So if he can get a good summer, if Lampard shows some belief in him, I think that we get few players and we'll be back up there 100%. I think next season we're gonna be battling.
I love the confidence. Before we go any further on Chelsea's potential title ambitions, let's go to another price boost. So Man City to win 2-1. What a comeback in 45 minutes to keep the title alive for another week or so. Was 5-1, now 11-2. Get involved if you are over the age of 18, but please gamble responsibly. Sky Bet giving out some good uns tonight. What another one. Love it. Okay, so we've got about a minute and a half left of the first half. Chelsea 1-0 up through a goal from Pulisic, doing pretty much the job in hand. I mean, Richard, let's finish off that title discussion about Chelsea. I mean, if you were Frank Lampard or the Chelsea hierarchy, where would you be looking to strengthen? Maybe in their defence?
Yeah, I think so. I think also that I do think they'll need a more dominant goalkeeper as it goes forward. I think he's decent enough, the goalie, but looking at him on the pitch, you wouldn't imagine he gives loads of confidence out to the other players. I think you have a big guy in that goal, big stature, someone who's maybe won trophies and won stuff somewhere else. And I think they're probably missing the experience of players bringing in new players who've won tournaments, who've won leagues would be good. But for me, Chelsea have always been a decent team, like a really good team, a strong team who will always be in the top four. They always seem to play with that fear that they might lose Chelsea. They don't want to lose games and this and that. I think now with Guardiola and with Klopp, we've seen teams go and win. Teams want to go and win. Liverpool just go straight out and they just want to win, and it reflects when you watch them play. I think with City, they're focused more on winning than they are on defensively. And I think Chelsea this season have been exciting. They've been good to watch. They've been entertaining. The signings that they've made already for next season can only bode well for them. And I think they're not there probably at the moment, but they're going to get very, very close, I think, over the next couple of seasons. And I'm delighted for Frank Lampard. I think he's done really well. I think he's done well at Derby, and he's a lot of pressure at him probably going into Chelsea, being a legend like he was there, to try and recreate that as a manager. But for me, this season's been a huge success for him, and he's done really well.
Yeah, I
Love
mean,
that,
I couldn't
Richard.
agree with you
Love
more. I
that.
think they'll. I think Chelsea fans, as you can tell, are absolutely delighted with the progress of Abraham, Mount, Tomori, Reece James, the signings they've made in the summer, and they're 1-0 up against Man City at half-time in this game, which means as it stands, Liverpool are going to win the title tonight, ending 30 years of hurt. But it's half-time at Stamford Bridge. That Christian Pulisic very well taken goal puts them 1-0 up. We've got a little VT for you now. It was filmed a couple of weeks ago. It's Mason Mount talking to Patrick Davison.
Mason, thanks for joining us. I think we saw a little bit of you just patting your hair there. What's going on?
I know, it's just all over the place at the moment. It's all over the place.
What are you going to do?
I think now I've got to this stage, I might just keep it long.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of you as a kid. It was quite long hair as a kid, right? You could go back to that.
Yeah, that was too long. That was like down to the shoulders, but I can't get back to that. I'll keep the sides a bit shorter, but the top, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. I was actually going to start by asking you about your earliest memories as a football fan, because I imagine it involved quite a lot of Pompey, did it?
Yeah, loads of Pompey. I think my first football game I ever went to was at Pompey, and then went to watch them play. Obviously, unbelievable atmosphere. My dad took me when I probably was about 4 or 5. So that's probably the earliest memories of me going to watch a game.
So 4 or 5. What are we talking there? Like promotion season, Merson, Todorov, or just after that? First Redknapp spell though, right? The first time before he had his little Southampton trip.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So that would have been his first. But yeah, just going to Fratton Park and seeing all the atmosphere, and so it was unbelievable, and it still is even now. So I try to if I get a little chance, I can go down or watch a game or get home. I always try to do that.
I can see you've got, looks like a Chelsea shirt up over your left shoulder, yeah. But I did hear you had like a couple of Portsmouth shirts up in the house, maybe D'Alessandro?
Yeah, his top's upstairs. I've also got another one. So I've got 2 up in the house. So yeah, always got to have a Pompey top up.
What's the other one then?
I think it's the FA Cup, because obviously I went to school with the kitman's son. So
Right.
the kitman at Pompey, Big Kev. I went to school with his son, so I knew him, and he saved me. I can't remember whose top it was. I don't know if it was like a spare top from the FA Cup final when they won.
They won.
Yeah, I was at the game. So I think he saved me that, and I obviously kept it and framed it.
So what was it like being a Portsmouth fan then, especially like when Redknapp came back? They were great times, weren't they?
Yeah, unbelievable. You think about the players that were in the team. Obviously, you have like Kanu, Prince Boateng, Lassana Diarra. God, I can go on and on. Obviously, Crouch and Defoe and everyone. Dave Nugent, the one got to play with him at Derby.
Did you talk to him about it?
Yeah, I spoke to him when I first went there. I don't think at the beginning, he obviously didn't know too much about me or where I was from or who I supported. But yeah, I spoke to him and said, Pompey legend. And he loved it. He loved it. And he was like, oh, you Pompey fan? I was like, yeah, from Pompey. Probably watched you play a couple of times. So yeah, he loved it.
That must be, aside from everything else which goes with making it as a pro, there must be a weirdness element to it. I mean, particularly now, you probably have it with Frank Lampard, but you said there with Dave Nugent, guys you'd watch, and you're sitting with your dad, holding your dad's hand, watching a game, and then maybe it feels like a few days later, you're playing with this guy. How odd is that?
Yes, it's a bit crazy. Just obviously me being a fan, and I think I actually spoke to my dad before I went to Derby and said, "Oh, look, Nuge is there. Like, it's going to be crazy if I get to play with him and stuff like that after supporting Pompey all my life and watching him play when I was a younger kid. But no, Nuja's brilliant. Learned a lot off him while I was at Derby as well. He spoke to me. Obviously, he has that experience, been there and done it. So he spoke to me and helped me out a lot.
Do you remember Harry Redknapp coming back? And it was such a shocking thing at the moment, wasn't it? Pompey, Southampton, and then he comes back. Do you remember that, or too young to really soak that up?
I think I remember it a little bit, not too much though, because I was still young. But yeah, it's obviously massive down south, the rivalry and everything. My dad didn't let me go to any of the Derby games. It was too dangerous, so I had to stay at home whenever there was a Pompey Southampton game. But no, it's just, the rivalry still goes on, and love watching the games now.
Season then, so many firsts for you, unbelievable to the point, obviously, that it stopped. But it also feels like it's been tough for you at times, which sounds like an odd thing to say, but is that fair?
No, definitely. It's my first season in the Premier League, and it's a season that I've learned so much. It's a learning season. There's been ups and downs, but I think the main thing for me coming out of this season is how much I've learned, how much I've grown as a player on and off the pitch, and how much I've learned playing against some of the best players in the world. It's my first season in the Premier League, as I said, and I'm just kind of, as a boy, I've dreamt of playing in the Premier League. So for me to have my first season and then to make loads of debuts and score some goals, it's meant so much to me. And as I said, it's been a good season so far.
How much are you looking forward to being back? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been quite tough at home, but no, it's obviously brilliant to be back. We're all raring to go and raring to get the games going again. That's what we love doing, playing football, and obviously starting with training, going through the phases so far. It's been really good, and very exciting to be back, and very excited to get the games back going.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Mason Mount there talking with Patrick Davison, a very impressive young man, both on and off the pitch, speaks so eloquently. Oba, I wanted to know from you, I mean, what do you think is Mason Mount's sort of best attributes, and what does he bring to this Chelsea team?
I think his work rate is definitely a thing that Lampard loves, but also his eye for the final pass. He's developed that over the season so well. And also he's good at linking up play. At the beginning of the season, I did have my doubts over Lampard starting him week in, week out. But now, if Mount's not in the team, I'm questioning Lampard. So he's definitely won me over. And I think he brings a lot of people into the game as well. Today, I told you guys how I question how Barkley and Mount are starting together. But like the eights, both of them playing in the 8 position and kind of helping out Kante, but also being the outlet as well, has helped us have the lead. So, yeah, I think he's doing really well, man. I think he's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, what a phenomenal debut campaign in the Premier League. Obviously, excelled on loan at Vitesse, excelled on loan at Derby, but to really do it at the Premier League speaks volumes for his character and ability. Richard, in terms of City, if you were Pep Guardiola, would you be looking to make any changes at half-time?
Yeah, I think the obvious one is obviously bringing on Jesus. I think they've dominated the ball. They've done well. They've got so far up the pitch, but they're just missing that centre forward. They're missing someone who can make the runs in behind, someone who can occupy the back four. And I think it's great having a false 9, but it's a position you have to work on, and I don't think City have the player who can probably play it at the moment. So I would look to bring Jesus on and just have that bit more of a threat.
Yeah, personally, I'm absolutely gutted. He was in my fantasy football team. Pep with his rotation, the scourge of fantasy football managers all over the land. Pep, you do it to me every single week. McCubs, half-time, let's get some questions in from the fans.
Yeah, no questions coming in at the moment, but I did have something lined up as half-time entertainment. Little bit of a game for us to play, based around Richard's sparkling Premier League career. I was just having a little look at the stats. And Richard, you rank 29th of players in Premier League of all time for appearances with 431. I'm sure you knew that already, or maybe you didn't. I don't know about if you know about the competition kind of around you in that bit, but we're going to do a little test, and obviously Doogie and Obba get involved as well. So I'm going to read some names out, and you've got to tell me whether they got more appearances than Richard Dunne or less. So
great game! Loving it.
Kick off, and there are some classic names in here as well. So we'll kick off. We'll kick off with Teddy Sheringham.
What do you reckon, Richard? More or less appearances than you?
He has to be more. He played up until he was nearly 40, so I'd have to say more for him.
What are you boys saying?
I mean, I'm not going to argue with Richard.
I'm going with Richard. Yeah, I'm going with
Richard. You're backing Richard. Okay. Well, as in you're backing Richard to have more or less?
No, Teddy's got more.
Well, I can tell you, you're all wrong. Teddy Sheringham, 418 appearances.
Oh, wow.
Yes, Richard.
Oh, wow.
Which, I was quite surprised by that, to be fair. Okay, next one, Alan Shearer, another classic Premier League striker.
He's nearly got that amount of goals. He must have more appearances.
He's got a couple more goals, as far as I know, but...
Only a couple.
Only a couple. Guys, make sure you're getting involved in the comments as well. Get your replies to McCubb's questions as well. I'm going to say that he made more appearances as well.
I can tell you, you two are absolutely right there. Alan Shearer, only 10 more appearances than Richard Dunne. 441 appearances, of course, for the likes of Southampton, Blackburn and Newcastle. Okay, one final one then. England manager Gareth Southgate, what are we saying?
Less.
Oh.
I'd probably say less.
Yeah. It's a tight one.
I'm backing Richard. I'm backing him.
He was half the player. Done for me every time.
Two titans of the 2000s. You guys are right. But only just. Gareth Southgate is number 30 on the list. He's got 426 appearances. So, Richard, you made 5 more appearances than Gareth Southgate.
Oh, wow.
Other players around that level. Leighton Baines just had a bit less as well, had less than Gareth Southgate. UC Jääskeläinen just edged you, which I thought was pretty amazing because Jääskeläinen was practically ever present for about 10 years. Petr Cech just about edged you as well. He's got 443. So yeah, esteemed company right there.
Very much.
But yeah,
so.
we have had some questions come in. Let me just have a look. Mr. Whippy on Twitter has asked, who do you think should win the PFA Player of the Year award?
Oh, who do you reckon, Richard?
I think before the lockdown, Jordan Henderson was someone who had a really big shout, and I think he's been outstanding this season. And for the way he's brought the Premier League players together over the lockdown, and the way that he's represented himself, Liverpool, and all the players has been outstanding. And I think he'd be awarded of any prize this season.
Fair enough. Who do you reckon, Obba?
That's interesting because before Richard said that, I was going to say KDB, but in terms of like obviously being the captain of the Liverpool side that's won the league for the first time in 30 years, and also the stuff that he does off the pitch, the voice, the fact that he's using his voice off the pitch as well, I guess I'll give it to him. But if not him, KDB 100%. Yeah,
I think as a player, I'm not going to argue with Obba. I think KDB deserves it, but you make such a good point, Richard, about the impact off the pitch. I mean, it's not just Henderson. During lockdown, we also saw Wes Morgan, Troy Deeney really lead from the front, Raheem Sterling and Rashford as well on racism. I thought Ben Mee spoke phenomenally well the other night as well. Like, we've just seen footballers really step beyond the normal parameters of sport to become real voices for society, and I think it's just been a really impressive time. And I'm quite proud to work in football at the moment, just seeing how these footballers have gone from strength to strength. I mean, McCubbs, you've got your vote for Rashford t-shirt on.
Yeah.
I mean, how impressed were you with his work during lockdown with the school meals?
Yeah, massively impressed. Massively impressed. I think we always knew Rashford was a figure who had like a good heart and seemed to be well brought up. I think even from the moment he stepped into that United team at such a young age, was a real overnight success. He always came across as very well spoken, quite softly spoken, probably a little bit shy to begin with, which you'd expect from a player that age. But he never seemed to get ahead of himself. Always a very confident player, but a quietly confident player. And I think in the last kind of year and a half, he's kind of used that kind of calm authority that he clearly has for such a great cause. And even before the kind of school meals campaign that he was doing, he was working with Fair Share for getting meals out to kids. And then last Christmas, he did a big initiative within Manchester, which was kind of not only him, but his family as well. That was something that they were doing, was kind of handing out boxes to homeless shelters the year before. And then last year, he kind of started getting more charities involved, started working with more charities and encouraging the public to kind of get involved with it as well. So yeah, I think he's clearly someone I've been writing a script about him recently, and the impression I get is that this is something that he's always wanted to do, and it just so happens that he's now got the platform to do it. He's really taken advantage of it. So and yeah, I don't think anyone could have expected him to have really raised such a profile in the way that he did in forcing the UK government's hand. That's just something I don't think any English footballer has managed before. So so yeah, I think he's getting all the recognition he deserves for what he's doing.
For sure. I mean, what a player, what a man he's proved himself to be in the last months or so. But we are back underway at Stamford Bridge, 1-0 to Chelsea, which means Liverpool are on for the Premier League title as it stands. City, of course, have to beat Chelsea to prevent that happening. Richard, we've seen Man City fall to quite a few defeats, a lot more than in the two previous seasons combined. Have Man City been, I don't want to say found out, but have their weaknesses, have the weaknesses been more apparent this year with Man City?
Yeah, I think teams can get at them a little bit more this season. I think as well when they play with the fullbacks who attack so much, people are now realising where the spaces are to get in behind them to attack them. And like I said, they've not had that stability at the back this season. They've struggled defensively at times, and whether teams have found them out or not, it's a possibility. But you wouldn't put it past Pep maybe doing something different again in the summer, and getting up a new tactic and doing something. And I don't think we've seen the end of an era at City or anything like that. I think there's still plenty left in them, and I think they'll strengthen. They'll come back stronger, and this isn't the way that Pep would want to finish. 23 points behind Liverpool. He'll want to improve on that, and he'll want to come back and put City back on top next season and the season after. And we all know it's well within their capabilities. Whoever they play, you fancy them to win almost. So it's just this season they've lacked of concentration, like we've seen in this game, has cost them.
Yeah, I mean, worrying scenes at Stamford Bridge. We're seeing Andreas Christensen down on the turf, two medics tending to his neck, and they were sort of checking which way his eyes were moving, etc. Looks like he's had a nasty collision. He doesn't look quite with it as it stands. We'll keep giving you news on that as when we can. What was that? Sorry, Sam?
No, Mendy had a shot and he headed it clear, but I think the way
was that from the shot? Wow.
The shot power. He's back on his feet though. He's looking good. He's smiling, so hopefully that means that he's feeling better. But I know I've been in the way of a few shots. I'm sure, Richard, you've been in the way of some of the best strikers in the world shots. How do you prepare yourself for that type of impact?
Just cover the important bits and just pray. Really.
Who's had the most powerful shot that's hit you?
I don't know. Woke up many a Sunday morning with the ball mark imprinted on my leg and across my body and stuff like that, and it's just...
Oh, wow.
If any of the Premier League footballers catch the ball correctly, you're in trouble. And certainly Mendy seemed to really wallop that one. So I've been there. I know what Christian's feeling. His head spinning around a little bit, but he'll just want to get back. It's one of those that's...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm thinking back to your day, the likes of Gerrard, John Onorisa. They could strike a ball with such venom.
gosh.
I'm sure you had some pretty painful times in front of John Onorisa shots. Richard, I want to ask you about a sort of a centre-back question, because we asked the same question to Jolie and Lescott, and I was just wanting to see what your response would be as well. I mean, over the last few years, we've seen a real development in ball-playing centre-backs. You know, with the ball at their feet, bringing it out of defence, etc. Do you think something in the art of the sort of traditional arts of defending has been lost?
Yeah, at times. I think, obviously, when Pep was at Barcelona, he used Mascherano as the centre-half, and he was a midfield player, and he's doing the same here with Fernandinho. And if you look at teams that win leagues and teams that are constantly at the top, of the likes of Real Madrid, who have Ramos, who can bring the ball out, who can play. Van Dijk can bring the ball out and he can play. Vincent Kompany could bring the ball out and he could play. But they were all number one. They were top defenders, and that's something that you can't lose out of a team. I think as well, when you have a defender whose mentality is to defend, that generally people who organise, and that helps the team a lot. Someone who can, like that Mendy situation with the goal. If you have a centre back there, he's organised and he's putting people in front of Pulisic. He's dropping off, giving himself space, and sometimes ball playing centre backs are more focused on what to do next when they get the ball, instead of the focus being on, right, let's make sure that we do get the ball and let's make sure that there's no errors at the back. And I think once you have a defender who can defend first and foremost, it's a bonus if he can bring the ball out. But generally, they're the ones that lead the big teams into titles and into Champions League trophies.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You definitely want a balance. Guys, we're approaching the 52nd minute. Obba, McCubs, do you know what time it is? It's time for a prize list. Come on. Pulisic to score a brace. It was 7-1. It's now 8-1. Sky Bet, lovely odds once again. You've got to be 18 plus to get involved in that. Please gamble responsibly. But Pulisic to score a brace. I mean, Sam, what are the chances of that happening? Are you feeling confident in your Captain America?
Yeah, 100%, man. Captain America, he's capable of anything, man. He's feeling himself right now. He's seeing that Lampard's trusting in him. So I 100%. I even see him scoring a hat-trick. I'll go one step further.
No.
Oh, there we have it.
You're
if I could get my phone out, I might get a bet on that. I think it does seem like Pulisic's evening at Stamford Bridge on this balmy night in London. And Man City are sweating right now because as it stands, Liverpool are set to win their first title in 30 years if the result doesn't change. Man City, came out with a bit of an injection of sort of energy and intensity after the break, but they're struggling to create clear-cut opportunities. It's still Bernardo Silva, Mahrez and Sterling up front. Richard Dunne's called it from pretty early on. Gabby Jesus could come off the bench to make an impact here. But Pep needs to make some changes quickly. And we're actually seeing David Moyes in the stands there as well. I think he must be previewing for one of a future game.
The next game is against West Ham.
Lovely, Obba. Richard, I wanted to ask you, after your spell at Man City, you obviously went to Aston Villa, had a great spell there as well. I mean, what are your expectations for Villa this season? Do you think they can survive?
I'm not sure if they score enough goals really to survive. I think they play decent football. In Jack Grealish, they have a player who can threaten teams. He can create and he can shoot well. But in terms of getting enough goals to stay up, I think that I just don't see them being capable of it. I think they're still in there. They're still fighting. They've still got a chance, and it'll be down to the wire maybe with Villa. But if they had a centre forward, if you have someone who can score like Jesus coming on here, and I'd fancy them a lot more.
Yeah, as Richard says, we're seeing Bernardo Silva come off the pitch for David Silva, and Gabby Jesus has come on as well for Rodri. So not quite sure what that means for the composition of City's midfield. Maybe Fernandinho moves into midfield, they change formation, but it's a dangerous position. It's a dangerous position for Chelsea here. Kevin De Bruyne, we know what he's like from long range. He's standing over a free kick about 30 yards out. It looks pretty intent.
Oh, what a goal!
It's a
what a goal!
We saw Trent Alexander-Arnold last night score an absolute beauty against Palace. I raise you, De Bruyne against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Woof. What a phenomenal goal. Ronaldo style approaches the ball, gets amazing lift and then dip over it, and it finishes in the top left corner. Woof. Richard Dunne, talk us through that. I mean, what a strike.
That is beautiful. That's spoke earlier about maybe he's the player of the year. And when you see things like that, you can't won't be far off. That's unbelievable. Very similar to Rashford's that he scored there earlier in the season. Unbelievable strike.
What a strike. And that's his 10th goal to go with 16 assists this year. More than anyone else in the Premier League. Chelsea on the counter quickly. I mean, McCubs, when something like that happens against you from a Chelsea perspective, I mean, does that just knock all the momentum out of your sails?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, Chelsea look to have reacted pretty well already. But yeah, you just can't really do anything about it, can you? It's a difficult one because it's not like it's come from open play or anything. It's just one of those things, and even a player of De Bruyne's caliber, 9 times out of 10 isn't putting it in that good a spot. That was okay. Kepa probably didn't dive as much as he could have, but even if he had, he wouldn't have got that. Like, that was literally unstoppable. So I think Chelsea will be all right. I think Chelsea, they look like they've reacted all right. They seem to have developed a pretty thick skin in this game. I think they've probably been marginally the better side. But yeah, it just shows you that a player like KDB, no matter what stage of the game or how you're taking. Oh, here we go. Oh my God,
Sterling's in.
Oh my days.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
Hey, my body was actually numb. My body was numb. I genuinely thought that was just a direct goal because every pass was perfect. Sterling should have finished that. I can't lie.
Yeah. It started with De Bruyne in the middle of the park, and then he gave it out to someone on the left wing. I think it was Gabby Jesus, who played it through to Sterling. He gets the ball past Kepa in goal, but it hits the post dramatically. That would have been City 2-1 up. But as it stands, they still need that goal. I mean, what a load of action we've just had in the last 5 minutes. And it almost forgets that... Sorry, McCubs.
Go on. I was just going to say that was almost a Steve McLaren moment from me there, just bigging up Chelsea's reaction to going 1-1 and then Man City going up at the other end and scoring.
The Wally and the Brolly in West London. I love it. Drama. So much drama at Stamford Bridge. And we also saw just before that free kick was taken, Guardiola made the decision to bring on Gabby Jesus and David Silva as well. So they hadn't created much before that. Now they're 1-1 thanks to that fantastic goal. I mean, Richard, would you expect Man City to take a lot of confidence like that? What's it like when one of your teammates just pulls out something out of the top drawer?
Yeah, you should watch the first 55 minutes, and they had a lot of possession, but didn't really threaten Chelsea's goal too often. So that was nothing just to get a goal like they've got. Gives them great confidence, and then you seen straight away what the difference to having Jesus in the team. I know it wasn't him who has the opportunity. As they started to break, he's running in behind, and the defenders are dropping off. Sterling's running in behind, and they're playing more forward passes straight away, and it's more threatening, and it gives a lot more now.
Yeah, massive boost for Man City there. Tetchy moments for them since that equalising goal from De Bruyne. A couple of opportunities for City. We're just seeing one again. So it was De Bruyne. This was the chance we were talking about. Wide to Jesus, and then Sterling's 1-on-1, lifts it over Edison, but it comes back off the left-hand post
as well, couldn't he?
He could have. Yeah. And Sterling normally so lethal in those situations, but actually only 1 goal in his last 13 appearances, which came against Arsenal. So hasn't been in the best goal-scoring form. McCubs, talk to me about what are the comments saying? Are they, is it the Liverpool fans, pretty worried now?
Well, there's a few. I haven't seen too many Liverpool fans, but there's a lot of the Chelsea fans have actually come out of the woodwork since it's gone 1-1. So I think what's going on is that Yeah, they're out. Yeah, exactly. They've realised that they can't be complacent anymore. I think they were ready for a comfortable victory against Man City, and then KDB reminded them that he's KDB. A few City fans coming out now as well. So a lot of people, I think, you know what? It might not be Chelsea fans. It might be Liverpool fans, because I think what they're basically saying is, "Come on, City, hold out for the draw, and we'll still be champions." So there's that element which has entered the comments. A lot of excited and nervous Liverpool fans, I'm guessing, because I think this is what it is. If City do pull this result out, then I think that may well delay Liverpool's title celebrations for maybe a couple of weeks, because looking at the two sides in the last 2 weeks, I don't think there'll be anything to separate them next week. I can't necessarily see Liverpool beating this Man City team right now. I don't know what you think, Richard.
No, I think certainly if City get through tonight and they win tonight, there's not a chance on earth that they'll want to lose or want to draw against Liverpool and lose the title on their own ground. You know, they'll try and make Liverpool sweat a little bit, make it go on a little bit longer. But the next half an hour is interesting. I think they've upped the tempo as well now. They look lots of running off the ball, lots of movement, and this is the guy we were speaking about earlier, David Silva. He can inject belief into the team. He's done it for 10 years at the club, and he's someone they look to lead them, and he's started well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what you just don't want from a Chelsea perspective is them to sit deep for 30 minutes against this Man City team, because what they did so effectively for the first 55 minutes was really carry a big threat on the counter. And we're seeing KDB get into dangerous areas with set pieces. This is a bouncing ball around the box. I think it's just cleared by Pulisic. We have time to breathe. But big players step up in big moments. And Kevin De Bruyne's free kick was absolutely phenomenal. Richard, I wanted to ask you, who is the best free kick taker that you ever worked with?
Ian Hart with Ireland, when he was playing at Leeds.
Oh, nice.
Was outstanding. From everywhere, he could smash them in from the side, from out in the wing, in the middle of the goal. He was unbelievable at them. And when someone is that good at it, you can't work out how they do it. You know, the technique that they get with the ball, and you can try it. Here
we go, Giroud.
Oh, side netting.
Oh, Mount, unlucky. That's what we need.
But talk us through it.
Ederson had one of his howlers. Mount was driving, and he snatched at it, man. He snatched at it.
Liverpool fans fuming.
Unlucky, Mount. But Ederson's always capable of making at least one mistake per game.
Yeah, he hasn't been as solid in this year as to previous years. I mean, Richard, what do you put that down to? And maybe you don't even agree with that, but do you think it could be the lack of a calming presence like Kompany at the back that maybe made Ederson a little bit more error-prone than in years gone by?
Quite possibly. And you look at ball-playing centre-halves that we spoke about. Now you're looking for ball-playing goalkeepers as well. So if you want your keeper to play out from the back, he's going to make mistakes. I think when you do get a keeper who like Ederson, he made a great save in the first half from the corner from Christensen, but little mistakes like that, that's what's cost City this season. You know, it's just that extra bit of concentration when they've probably, because they've won the league twice, then they start to lose it a little bit, and they need to somehow regain it for next season, because it's what's cost them.
Yeah, it was always Sir Alex Ferguson that said it was hardest to back up consistently title wins on title wins. And 2 in a row with the points tally they've accumulated is nothing short of exceptional, but they have been off the pace by their own exceptional standards this year. McCubs, as Man City go and take this, about to take this corner, I should say, let's have a question.
Yes, a little bit quiet on the YouTube front, but we've got a few backed up here. And I was going to ask, this one's for Richard. This comes from James on Twitter. Obviously, you played at the top level for many years. You know the physical demands that the Premier League brings. How do you think the players in the Premier League right now have come out from the restart? Have you been impressed by their fitness levels, or is this what you'd expect?
You look at them now, from the end of one season to the start of the next, and they're generally still in top shape. This is an extra long period that they've been resting, but they've still been able to go out and train and keep going. I think it's the match tempo, which in the first round of games was probably a lot down on it has been previously. But we've seen Man United against Sheffield United, we've seen Liverpool against Palace. The tempo was right back up to the top, and this match has been really good. It's been end to end, and the only thing we spoke about earlier with City hitting the ground running when they restarted. They wore teams down. They wore Arsenal down. They wore Burnley down just by pure possession. And it's a very hot night tonight in London, and they've had a lot of the ball, City. So Chelsea will need to use their subs wisely now and again.
Yeah, we're seeing Kevin. We're seeing Kevin De Bruyne walk around a bit gingerly after that challenge from Antonio Rudiger. Do you think this is a bit of a nasty one, Richard?
I mean, his leg goes through it. I don't know whether he can do much about it, but yeah, he's let it go.
You can't do anything there. You can't do anything there. If they gave him a red card for that, that would have been harsh. That would have been very harsh.
Yeah. Well, so I think he has to go. He's on his knees. He's trying to get the ball away, and it's unfortunate for him, but it's the moment of the game. This beautiful free kick.
Yeah, we're just watching that free kick from De Bruyne once again. Absolutely phenomenal. Richard, it would be silly to have you on the show and not ask about your time with Ireland. Obviously, phenomenal success there. I think it was over 80 caps for Ireland, something that I'm sure you're very proud of. But, you know, the one moment that I'm sure you know was going to come up in this stream was that moment in qualifying for the 2010 World Cup with Thierry Henry. I mean, talk us through the incident from your perspective and what sort of impact it had on you as a player and Ireland as a team.
Watch this. It was difficult for us. When the draw was made and we were playing France, we knew that we were the underdogs and we were going to struggle because France is one of the best teams in the world. So it was a tough task for us. And maybe in the first leg we set back and respected them too much, and we didn't really go. And we ended up losing the first leg, which really cost us. But then going into that second leg, we just felt like we had nothing to lose. We could go for it. We could try and grasp the moment.
Ooh. Sterling. Cheeky.
Right.
He's going for a curled at the back stick from a corner that broke to him. And he got a lot of whip on it, but just not quite enough. It just goes wide of Kepa's post, with Kepa not making a lot of movement there, I have to say. Sorry, Richard, back to the events against France.
Yeah, so like I say, we went to Paris. We were going into the stadium, and it was a party atmosphere. You know, it was a full house, and people were there basically to celebrate the fact that France were going to the World Cup. You know, so we went with nothing to lose, and we felt probably didn't do ourselves justice in the first leg. So the second leg was about, if we're going out, and so we're going to give it everything. And on the night we were outstanding as a team. We performed brilliantly, and we obviously after 90 minutes we were 1-0 up. We won the game in 90 minutes, but we had one or two other opportunities which we missed. But even then, in extra time, we were still on top. We were still performing. We were still pressing them and closing them down. And I think they'll admit that they found it very difficult that night. And I think it was a free kick around the halfway line, maybe. It was just a long ball sent into the box, and I jumped up with another player. I'm not sure who it was, and we both ended up on the ground. You know, we both missed the ball, ended up on the ground, and the next thing, Gallas is knocking it in the back of the goal. You know, so for me, it was like, they've scored and stuff. But then I seen the reactions of our players, and they were going mad. And it wasn't until later when I've seen it and stuff like that you realise. But at the time, the players were so adamant that it was handball that it just, it killed it for us. And then at the end of the game, Henry came over and sat down beside me after the match, and he was like, "Yeah, I handled it. I'm sorry what I had to do it," sort of thing. And it's like, well, there's absolutely no use telling me now. Or you should have told the ref to give us a half a chance. If you want to be honest half an hour ago when the game is going on. I've been asked many times about it, and it's one of those. If I had the opportunity to do it to get to the World Cup, I probably would. It's one of those things that in a game your reaction is play the game, play as much as he can, and his hand come out, he handled it probably twice with his hand, and how the referee didn't see it and stuff like that is beyond me. And of course, it wouldn't exist now. But I think then to top it all off, I think for us as a team, we were a bunch of players who were really in our prime at the time. We were doing well, we were playing well, and we had a good manager in Trapattoni, and we felt that we could have made an impact on the World Cup. So for France to then go there and
combust, basically.
Combust, yeah, they didn't respect the tournament. They didn't have the respect for the tournament that the tournament deserves, and that was disappointing for us because we feel we would have put on a much more honourable show, I suppose, when we got there. So a couple of years later, we got to the Euros, but we were a couple of years older. We had a load of injuries going into it, and it was a difficult tournament for us. But I think that World Cup would have been a time when we could have done ourselves proud, and we could have had a decent tournament.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it was like having been effectively cheated out of the World Cup to watch France implode in such spectacular fashion. Back to this game at Stamford Bridge, still 1-1. Obba, since Man City got their equaliser, having said that, here we go, Captain America.
Oh my God!
Oh, that's in. That's in. It must be in. It must be.
I don't think it is.
Goodness,
I don't think
Walker's
it is.
done the most incredible
I didn't go over the line.
clearance.
Wow.
Walker slid back. Pulisic rounded Ederson with ease, and he was about to put it into the net, and Walker has got back to clear off the line. It then breaks to Tammy Abraham, and Ederson just dives on the ball. I mean, Obba, can you believe what you've just seen?
Oh my gosh, no! I needed that to go in. They're onto us. They're actually onto us so much. We need to take on. I'm going forward again. Oh, better than that.
I mean,
I want to see a replay on that.
I mean,
that was so ridiculous.
You know what was so mad, yeah? When I saw the ball trickling, I had a feeling that it just wasn't gonna go over. I saw Cowell, he slid from like the penalty box, bro. He was sliding for time. Oh man.
Oh, Liverpool fans must be fuming. That was nearly their title, wrapped up with about 19 minutes to go. But as it stands, I mean, it's still theirs as it stands. But a lot can change. And I was going to ask Obaseki before that, because we're seeing a spell from Man City in terms of possession, in terms of territory. Not many clear-cut opportunities, but Man City definitely on top. But then just a lethal breakaway that McCubbs is right. We really need to see a replay of. But such coolness again from Pulisic. He's had one hell of a game, hasn't he, Obba?
Yeah, he's been quality, man. He's definitely been our star man. I think Kante's not really had don't you dare. Yeah, Kante's not really had a great game. He's given away free kicks in key areas. He gave away the free kick for Kevin De Bruyne's goal, and it's just needs to be better. Oh wow!
Oh, we're seeing it again.
Ending there from Kyle Walker.
It is centimetres away. And if you remember last year, John Stones making that goal line clearance as well. That's 2 years in a row when it's come down to just inches on goal line clearances in the favour of Man City for now. Oh, Christian Pulisic cannot believe it.
Should have smashed it though, man.
Oh, yeah, potentially he should have hit it harder.
So light.
What a breathless
he was
second
losing his
half
balance
we've
a
had.
little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, to be fair. Otamendi's come on now. Oh, interesting. Kovacic on.
Yeah, Kovacic having had such a good first, full official season as a Chelsea player, having been on loan last year. Hopefully he can make the difference in the final 17 minutes or so. McCubbs, let's have a question.
Yeah, so we've got one from Jake here. I guess this is probably aimed at Richard because no one else has played against Chelsea in the past, unless Doogie and Bobby, you've got some secrets. But
absolutely,
he wanted to know. I guess we're watching this Chelsea team now. They've put in a great performance. How does this team compare to the ones that you played against, Richard?
Oh, great question.
Chelsea have had some really, really good teams over the years, and certainly when I was playing against them, they were brilliant. They were, I think, European champions as well one year. So I think what this team lacks, what that team had, is Didier Drogba. Basically, they had Didier Drogba and Frank Lampard, two of the greatest players in the Premier League's history. They have players in the making here who could go on to be that, but at the moment they're not the finished article. And spoke about earlier about having players who are established internationals who have won tournaments, who have won cup. You need signing Ashley Cole and people like that. They had John Terry at the back. This side has the potential, and it has the players who are in that group at the moment that could go and be legends of Chelsea in the future, but they're not quite there at the moment compared to the likes of Lampard and Didier Drogba. Terry, obviously.
For sure. I mean, for one, this team is a lot younger, especially when Pedro leaves this summer and Willian is being phased out as well. It's that forward line in particular is. Oh, here we go!
Go!
Yes! No, that's a goal! Oh my gosh!
I don't think it is.
Oh
my!
Oh
is it a goal?
Days! I'm gonna lose.
I have no idea what's gone on there. We need some clarity.
No, it's not a goal.
Chaos.
It's not a goal.
It's not a goal. Chelsea denied a goal twice in a matter of minutes. We need to see what's going to go on here.
I think there were 2 goal line clearances there.
Talk us through it, Oba. So Willian has the ball, gives it to Tammy.
Tammy strikes.
The goalkeeping.
Well. Edison makes a ditch. Last ditch save. Fernandinho on the line. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I mean, this is defending Richard Dunne would be proud of. Walker with a
goal
line clearance. Fernandinho with a goal line clearance. What a second half we are seeing.
Oh my god.
It's handball.
We were talking about Thierry Henry versus Ireland. Fernandinho's done it at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, give me the pen. Rep, he knows it as well. Look at his eyes. He knows it.
Richard, what's your reaction to this?
That's a red as well. Don't even take time. Definitely handball.
VAR was introduced for moments like this. This has to be a red card and a penalty for Chelsea with 14 minutes left and effectively seal Liverpool's 30th title. Absolutely mental moment. Cleared off the line by Fernandinho, but the follow-up comes through from Abraham and he just uses his arm to clear it off the line. It's not quite a Luis Suarez, but it's along those lines.
He actually gives it the Henry handball, that little flick.
Yeah.
That little flick.
It's sly. It's so sly. The thing is, because from that first angle that we saw, I did not suspect it at all. And then just from that second angle, it's so obvious.
He knows. We have been spoiled. Penalty! He's giving it.
Yeah.
Fernandinho is off. Early bath for Fernandinho. 14 minutes left at Stamford Bridge. It's 1-1, but Chelsea have a penalty, and it looks like Willian is stepping up to take it, which would effectively seal Liverpool's 30th title. Guardiola can't watch. I mean, we don't know what we've just witnessed in this second half between Kevin De Bruyne's phenomenal free kick, clearances off the line by Walker, and then, as it turns out, an illegal one by Fernandinho with his hand. There has been drama aplenty at Stamford Bridge, but it is not over, Sam, because you guys have a penalty.
I need this to go in. Come on, Willian.
Talk us through it, Oba.
Come on, Willian. He's beaming in. He's looking at it. Intense right now. Lampard's looking unbothered. Come on, boy.
What a pen. Very good pen.
Good penalty. Well played.
Wow. Liverpool are winning the Premier League title as it stands. We are just under the 78-minute mark here at Stamford Bridge. There has been the most dramatic 20 minutes of football we have seen in the Premier League this season. Willian steps up to take a penalty. Edison goes the other way. And Williamson just finishes it calmly into the top left corner. Possibly one of his final goals for Chelsea before leaving this summer. And there won't be a more important one in the course of the Premier League this year. What a penalty. Oba, you've got to say, you resisted the pressure early in that half, but you've come back with some phenomenal counterattacks in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I can't lie. I feel like Lampard's game plan has worked during this game. Obviously, they had that little spell after the free kick, but overall, I'd say we've been in it throughout the whole game. I wouldn't say that they've been deserving of the lead or anything like that. So I think the result is quite correct in terms of the chances that have been created in the game.
Yeah, for sure. Richard, I mean, we need to go to you on this. I mean, A, what are your feelings with City throwing away what having got back into the match? And B, if you were Fernandinho, would you have made that decision?
There's not a lot you can do, Fernandinho, to be fair to him. He's blocked it originally, but then it's going in. So he's thought he's done the right thing to try and stop it with his hand. I spoke earlier about...
Come on, boy, let's get another one.
Oh, Oh, no.
Chelsea are really feeling it right now.
Oh, they are
Let's
Let's
bang
go
at
get
it, aren't
another.
they,
Let's get
Chelsea
another.
tonight?
Why not?
Of
Why
course,
not? Let's get another.
Man City down to 10 men, and Chelsea look awesome in the last 10, 15 minutes. Man City definitely on top in the first part of this second half, but Chelsea completely dominating the play. I wouldn't be surprised if Pep Guardiola made a change. They look like they've changed to a 4-4-1. But at the moment, the title is going to Merseyside, to Klopp, Salah, Mane, Van Dijk, richly deserved as it stands, but Pulisic on another mazy dribble just stopped there. Blimey, McCubs, we need to catch our breath.
Yeah.
Have you got a question? Have you got some comments in?
Let's have a look. Well, let's go see what everyone's saying. Actually, a lot of no's from Chelsea fans, from City fans. Sorry, Hala Madrid, Hala Chelsea's coming in. A lot of "You'll Never Walk Alone's." A lot of those. We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league. Yeah, there's a lot of Liverpool fans have infiltrated the comments. I don't know how I feel about that, but you've got to give it to them. First title in 30 years. What a feeling it must be for the city of Liverpool. Obviously, a shame they can't celebrate it properly with the kind of restrictions that are in place right now. No real coming in, but we've got a few in from people before. Let me just try and find a good one.
Wait, Mikey, while you try to find one, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say it. Like, did you guys see in the lead up of that goal where Willian could have easily gone down going?
Oh, God, City on the attack again. Oh, no, it's fine. Sorry.
That's genuinely a reason why I want Willian to stay. Like, I want us to give him another year contract. I think he deserves it, man.
Yeah, fair. While McCubs finds his question, we've got another price boost coming in with just over 8 minutes to play. Let's have a look at this price boost coming in from Sky Bet. 2-1 to Chelsea as it stands. It's De Bruyne to score a brace, so effectively score next. Was 16-1, now 20-1. Obviously, they haven't lost all their attacking impetus in this game. De Bruyne to score could be a good option. You've got to be 18 plus to bet on that, and please gamble responsibly. But what a game we've been treated to at Stamford Bridge. A lot of people criticising the standard of football on its return. A lot of people saying, the lack of atmosphere in the stadiums was negatively affecting the players. Well, they can shove that where the sun don't shine, because the game we've seen tonight is one for the absolute ages. Chelsea 2-1 against Man City with just under 8 minutes to play. Liverpool are winning the Premier League title as it stands. Richard, I mean, as a Man City, former player, legend, how much does it hurt that your side have performed like this tonight and potentially given the title to Liverpool?
It's disappointing. I mean, you start off the season and I'm sure they felt they were going to go and win the league again, but they've not been able to match what they were doing for the last couple of seasons. I think they've been decent tonight. I think they've played all right, but maybe at the start they were missing that striker, and that's been the difference overall. Any team's going to miss Aguero, but spoke about them being a team that goes and wins games and goes to try and win every match, and obviously they want to win this to keep the title going, but they need to be more stable at the back. Every time Chelsea break, they can break freely. There's no Fernandinho in that centre midfield who normally stops that sort of thing, and it's made a big difference tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we just saw a chance there. Oh my goodness. Nearly another chance for Man City. Gundogan messing around with the ball at the back. Sam, we nearly just, we saw another opportunity there with Azpilicueta getting down the right. Were you, maybe this is a bit harsh, were you disappointed with Tammy Abraham's movement there, perhaps?
Yeah, 100%. I think Tammy, when he gets into the penalty box, sometimes he's very indecisive with the kind of runs that he makes. And I think that's just proven there where Azpilicueta was literally waiting for him to decide which run he was going to make, and basically made his mind up for him. And Tammy was obviously not happy about that. But at the same time, I understand as a fullback myself, I understand the frustration, because you want your strikers to make that run for you, make the decision for you.
Yeah, I mean, Tammy Abraham didn't have a great scoring record going into this game. Obviously didn't start against Aston Villa as well, so we don't want to hammer him too much, but he would have hoped to do better with that opportunity. And I'm sure Cesar Azpilicueta will be saying, commit to that run earlier to the near post. McCubs, we've got about 6 minutes left of this game. I mean, it's been pretty breathless, but who would you say have been the sort of key components of it? I mean, who have you been most impressed with?
I mean, like we were talking about before, Pulisic looked really sharp all game. Obviously scored that great goal, nearly got a second as well. I think, he's definitely been one of the standouts. Kovacic, since he's come on, looks really good. I think that the kind of interplay around the boxes has really improved from a Chelsea standpoint since he's come on, and he's obviously been, arguably their best player all season in my eyes. So for Chelsea, I think that those have been the key players really. Mason Mount as well has looked pretty sharp as well. Obviously, he's come in for criticism this season, but he's carved out a couple of really good chances for himself as well. So really promising signs for that young forward line. KDB obviously for City, you can't really look past him. He's really been the life force behind their comeback into the second half. Obviously, couldn't really do anything about that Chelsea second goal, but yeah, I think KDB's proved once again why he's carried this, how he's carried this City team this season. I think without him, they could be even further off the pace, to be honest, couldn't they? That brings me onto a question, Richard. Unfortunately, we did have to ask this one, but if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. It comes from Tom Smith 03 on Instagram. And he asked, what's the most memorable own goal you've scored?
Good. It's taken a long time to be into it, and now it's certainly at the end.
Sorry, mate.
Now it's cool. It's own goal, I don't know.
What was the one you were most frustrated by? Sorry?
There was a couple where you're running back and the ball deflects off the goalkeeper and comes back and hits you and goes in the goal, and there's nothing you can do about them. There's other ones where the ball's going across the box and you think you're doing right by trying to intercept it, but you put it in the back of the goal. And so they're all painful, I suppose, during the game. Is situations where you're trying to do the best that you can and then end up sticking it in your own net. In terms of the most memorable, it's hard to. Very difficult thing to choose your favourite bad moment almost, So it's
Yeah, I don't like that question at all from Tom Smith. We've got Richard Dunne here, Premier League legend, 430 appearances. How many have you made, Tom Smith? 0. Get back.
I was going to say though, I think it's one of those things where it's like the two, obviously, you've had a few own goals in your time. Jamie Carragher's another player who has kind of been famed for having scored a few own goals in the Premier League, and if you're to kind of compare you two as centre backs, the first thing you think is two of the most kind of committed centre backs of that era. Always putting yourself on the line, and I guess that's just kind of part and parcel of that kind of defending, right? If you're always putting yourself in the way of the ball, sometimes it just doesn't. It's not going to bounce the way that you want it to.
That's the way I looked at it. I was playing, and as soon as you score an own goal, you think, I'm going to score another one. Every time you try and do something, you're trying to stop a goal, but you're generally six meters from your own goal line. So things happen, and it's one of those. It's like the next ball that comes across the box, I can't not go for it. You know what I mean? I have to go for it, and like I said, I've played 400 and odd games in the Premier League, and I've scored 10 own goals. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but there's a lot more worse things that could have happened if I wasn't there at certain other times. If I let the ball go because I'm worried about an own goal, well then I wouldn't have been able to play those amount of games. People wouldn't trust me.
So for sure. I guess on the flip side, what was the most memorable goal you scored?
Again, there's not many to choose from, so it's. The year I was at Villa, the first year that was at Villa, I scored a few goals, and I scored a good one against Hull. We had a really good team at Aston Villa in that first year. We played some really good stuff, and Martin O'Neill encouraged us to get involved and to get forward, and scored I think four goals maybe that season or something like that, and it was I scored a good goal against Hull from the edge of or in the penalty area, went in off the crossbar, and it was it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't many goals, so it was a nice moment.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well done you on a fantastic Premier League career once again. We are into the 89th minute here at Stamford Bridge. And the big news, of course, is that Liverpool are just minutes away from winning a first Premier League title and a first league title since 1990. It has been such a long wait for those Reds fans. They must be absolutely delighted. And, you know, Chelsea have been phenomenal in this match. They've done a real favour to Liverpool. Oba, it's got to that time of the game. Who would you give your man of the match to?
It would have to be Pulisic. He's been great all game. He's still running the defense ragged, and yeah, I think he's proven why Lampard started him and proven why he's a key player for Chelsea.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. He's been absolutely insane, really, since the resumption. Mason Mount also going off for Pedro, Pulisic going off for Billy Gilmour. Mount and Pulisic have worked so hard, as Sam has pointed out on numerous occasions. Two phenomenal performances from the young guys once again. McCubs, this puts Chelsea, if they see out this game, 1 point away from Leicester in third. Does this performance fill you with worry as a Man United fan?
A little bit, yeah. It definitely looks like Chelsea mean business. If they can put away a City team which have looked so good themselves like this, then yeah, I think Chelsea fans could be pretty confident they'll secure fourth place. And like I was saying earlier, I think if there is a team that Man United could usurp into fourth place, I think it's more likely to be Leicester. I think they've got a smaller squad, don't they? They're less likely to be able to deal with injuries as the weeks go on, and as we've seen, you know, injuries do seem to be a bit of an issue. That's why obviously the 5 sub rule got brought in and the rest of it. So yeah, I think Chelsea can be more confident than ever that they'll secure that Champions League place and even push for third. Because I think by the looks of it, they've definitely looked more sharp than since the return of the Premier League. So I was just looking at some of those celebrations in Liverpool. The red flares are already out.
Yeah, they're going for it with 4 minutes to go.
I hope social distancing is being observed. That's all I can say. But yeah, it must be absolutely mad to be a Liverpool fan right now.
Let's get a third. Go on, Pedro. You deserve one.
Oba, talk us through this chance for Pedro, nearly sealing the deal.
Billy Gilmour played a cross-field ball to Pedro. He took it on. There was only one defender back, and he took it on himself. He cut in and tried to bend it. Edison with a good save, I believe. And it's a corner to Chelsea.
Great
save.
It's
a great save from Edison on reflection. Yeah, that's incredible. But there was an opportunity to square it to Tammy quite early on in that chance. They were sort of 2-on-1, and he just waited a bit too long, tried to curl it around the post. But it's Chelsea, a Chelsea corner here. A goal here would truly seal that title for Liverpool. They're in no rush to take it, obviously. They've got 3 minutes to go on the clock. Another fantastic performance from Chelsea in a season where they've beaten Spurs, Arsenal, Man United, I believe. They've now beaten City as well. They've given Liverpool a very good game. Like, you've got to be really impressed with the direction that Frank Lampard is taking City in, particularly in their performances in big games. They've been more than equal to the task. Richard, in contrast, do you think there's any major worries for Man City towards the business end of the year? We've talked about their FA Cup and Champions League hopes. Has this performance put any doubts in your head?
Slightly, yeah. It's just the way they're going for the game is great, and you want them to be attacking and stuff like that. But the lack of organisation at the back's incredible. I mean, they're wide open. Chelsea have had numerous opportunities tonight on the break, and sometimes it's concentration, sometimes it's a mistake or whatever. But a lot of the time, it's just people talking, and there doesn't seem to be that leader out on the field who can who can allow the flair players to go and attack and go and do their stuff. You need that in the team. You need players to push forward and be exciting, but you also need someone to control what's happening at the other end of the field. And City tonight have liked the way they've gone forward, but every time Chelsea have broken, I just think there's danger because there's no solid defence anywhere to be seen. And whether that is the defence or whether that's the fact that Fernandinho is not playing the number 6 position, that's probably more likely the reason.
Yeah, I mean, particularly in that first half, they lacked a bit of cutting edge, and Chelsea have played really well in patches in this game. Bar a section of the second half, early on in the second half, they've more than matched Man City. And since they've gone down to 10 men, Man City just look chaotic at the back. But guys, we are now into the final minute of Chelsea's 2-1 victory we're expecting against Man City, which is going to seal Liverpool's first ever Premier League title and their first title since 1990. I mean, we've known for a while that it was going to come, but here it is through Chelsea, condemning Man City to another defeat. McCubs, I think it's time we give some serious credit to Liverpool. I mean, try and sum up their season in a few words.
How many words, Diggs? 3, 4, 5?
Go for it. A couple of hundred.
If it was 3, I'd say simply the best. To quote,
you had that one. You had that one ready.
Just to be very cheesy there, but
set up when he was like, "How many words?"
I really couldn't think of anything else, unless You'll Never Walk Alone, but that just doesn't really work. Now I think, Liverpool they've just been a lot better than everyone else, haven't they? I think when you look at things like expected points and the kind of stats and stuff, it's actually shown that City have had the better attack than Liverpool and stuff. But when you look at the kind of defensive lapses that you've seen at City this season, you can't really say that they deserve to be that much closer to them. I think full time just gone now. But I think City, Liverpool just carried on the way they did last term, really. A few little changes. They didn't really dip into the market, which probably was a bit of a risk, but Klopp was confident that, he had the personnel needed to challenge for the title again. And he was ultimately proved right. They dealt with that early injury to Alisson. They dealt with the injury to Fabinho that occurred halfway through the season. They came through some games where maybe they weren't the better team or weren't clearly the better team, but they ground out a lot of 1-0 wins. I was looking earlier, and 55% of Liverpool's games this season have ended in a victory to them by 1 goal. So it just goes to show how fine the margins were in Liverpool's success this season. They just really learned how to win games, whether that was by dominating teams or whether that was just by getting over the line, with those goals in the last 15 minutes. And, that's down to obviously the upping of fitness levels, which, has been evident throughout Liverpool over the last few years. So I think when you look at this Liverpool, this Liverpool title win this season, it's really about much more than this season. It really is about the 5 years that Klopp's been there. I think it's just the culmination of that. I don't think they've really done that much more than they did last season. They got 97 points last season and just didn't quite have enough. I think it really is, the culmination of all of that. The recruitment that they've done, the kind of coaching that they've brought in as well. Obviously there was a lot of chat about the throw-in coach that they brought in, and it's actually had evident benefits on the field for them. So every aspect of Klopp's managership has just worked.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal season, and guys, we can bring you finally conclusive evidence that Liverpool are Premier League champions for 1920. Chelsea's 2-1 victory over Man City at home seals Liverpool's first title and their 19th overall, their first since 1990. They got close under Houllier, Benitez, Rodgers, but Klopp has built a winning machine this year. They've dropped points in just 3 games, and in the end, they've won it with 23 points with still 7 games to go. Chelsea, meanwhile, phenomenal win for them tonight. Another fantastic result for Frank Lampard. Chelsea maintain their position in fourth, but they're now just 1 point behind Leicester with some serious momentum going into the final 7 games. But guys, we've got to touch more on Liverpool. Richard, who would you say have been the heroes of Liverpool's season? Who would you like to give the most credit to?
That's hard. You look at their team, and their team's outstanding. I think the goalkeeper's been great. Van Dijk's been great for 2 seasons. They get so many goals and assists from the fullbacks. Fabinho's been solid in central midfield. Henderson has been outstanding. Henderson's led the team in terms of his drive in every single match. He walks out onto the field and pushes them forward. And I think then if you're looking to pick out a standout star for me this season, it's probably Mane. I think he's been very good going forward. I think he's scored goals and he's just a real threat the whole time. But then with Firmino and Salah also, I think that the team that Klopp has built is exceptional, and you can understand maybe if they wore him for Werner or not, why he was maybe reluctant to spend so much money on them. But they've deserved it. They were outstanding last season. They pushed City really close last year. Obviously, they won the Champions League, and they got a taste for it last year. They were in touching distance of the league, and they looked from day one this season that they weren't going to let go this year. They're going to push and push and push in every game, and not just the fact they've won it now, but the amount of points they've won it by and the amount of victories they've had this season is remarkable. And big congratulations to them. They've most deserving champions and of the season. And it's a happy night for the red side, I suppose, of Merseyside, and it's up to the rest now to try and catch them.
Yeah, for sure. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you subscribe to Football Daily and Soccer AM, of course. But Liverpool are Premier League champions. As Richard says there, 2 Champions League finals, missing out on the title last year despite getting 97 points. But they've walked it this year, dropped points in just 3 games, 2 draws, and that solitary defeat to Watford. They've won it at a canter. Sam, do you think that Klopp and Liverpool can go on to build a dynasty? Can they do this over and over again now, do you think?
Yeah, I think they can. I think Klopp has proven that he trusts the players that he gets. Even the fact that they were so close last season and people were questioning him this season for not making that big money signing. But he did get a few players that could be in and around the squad to help the overall squad. That showed, and I'm sure it gave the players a lot of confidence that he does trust in them. And I'm sure he must have just said to them, you saw how close we've come. Let's do it again this season. And they literally started the league like they were on a mission, and they've completed that mission now. To only drop points in 3 games all season is amazing. And my dad supports Liverpool. I'm not really big a fan of Liverpool just because of their fans and their confidence, but I have to give it to them because they've been so good and they've literally done it for the majority of the season. So yeah, man, they deserve it.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, to date, after this amount of games, this is the best ever season in a top 5 league of European football. They simply have been frighteningly good. McCubs, what are the comments saying? Are there any questions? What's the general reaction in the stream?
Yeah, just a lot of jubilation, really. A few people saying, "Come on, Chelsea!" Still, but a lot of people congratulating Liverpool. 30 years later, and we did it. Champion, champion, champion. You'll never walk alone. Everyone's just absolutely loving life in here. Congrats to Liverpool, well deserved. Few Arsenal fans congratulating Liverpool. History has been made, said Carly's edits. 30 years champion, says Taha Rafiq. Cheers from Brazil, from Jonas. We've got a Brazilian Liverpool fan in the comments. Yeah, it's just a lot of jubilation, really. No real questions, but I was going to ask that as well. I mean, what does Klopp need to do now to kind of secure that title next season, do you think? Because I mean, obviously he didn't, like we were saying, he didn't make any major additions to the squad. Timo Werner's gone to Chelsea. A lot of people were expecting him to go to Liverpool and really bolster that forward line. I, for one, thought that would have been an amazing move for that forward line, would have really safeguarded it for a few years. Do you guys think there's a particular area of that team that could be strengthened just to kind of consolidate that hold on the league?
What do you reckon, Richard?
It's almost a certain type of personality that plays for that Liverpool team. You know, you have to be really driven and really focused, and you have to put your own ego to the side and play for the team. I think first and foremost, that's the most important. It looks like for Liverpool players. If there's probably one position that you would look at, it's maybe someone who can open up defenders in a tight game. So where previously they had Coutinho, maybe they might look at bringing him back, or someone of that ilk, someone who probably isn't the box-to-box midfielder, because they've got a few of them, but someone probably with a little bit of guile that can open up tighter games.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect extensive surgery this year. I think the fact that they refused a relatively cheap release clause for Timo Werner suggests it will be just more of the same for Liverpool next year. I do think there's a slight worry in that they didn't really strengthen last year, except for Harvey Elliott and Adrian. If you don't, it's potentially difficult to keep momentum going. We've seen that with Spurs this year, but Klopp's got a lot of faith in Curtis Jones, Nico Williams, of course, as well, and other young players coming through there. So there's plenty of hope for the future that they can keep this going. And Klopp just deserves an enormous amount of credit. I mean, people forget what sort of state Liverpool were in when he took over. It was October 2015. Liverpool not in a good way, having really failed to replace Luis Suarez. Their squad was a bit of a rabble of personalities, attitudes, abilities, and he's got them all singing from the same hymn sheet pretty much instantly. Got Anfield right behind the side, and he's backed up a Europa League final with 2 Champions League and now a Premier League title win. He's going to be remembered on Liverpool forevermore, and rightly so. I mean, Oba, from a Chelsea point of view, you've obviously strengthened heavily already, but can you see anyone challenging Liverpool next year?
I think Manchester City obviously are going to be there, and I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. The fact that they're going to have to give a guard of honour to Liverpool and see Salah and Van Dijk and the rest of the team smiling while they're walking past, I know that's going to play in their minds, and I think that's going to be good for them as well, because obviously it's proven to them that they're not unbeatable. I'm sure that they thought that with their 2 leagues they were going to walk it again, but Liverpool proved that they're going to persevere. I think Chelsea definitely going to be up there. United, if they're able to keep Pogba, maybe getting a few other signings, they're linked with Sancho. If they can get Sancho in, I think they'll be up there too. And that's about it, really. I don't really see anyone else really challenging them up there. I think it's going to be maybe four teams in and around that will be competing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a difficult ask to topple this Liverpool side. Just their consistency of performance has just been frightening this year. Richard, final question to you. I just want to get your thoughts on what you think this will do to the city of Liverpool. Obviously, they've missed out on so many titles down the years. It's been a long, long wait. I mean, what do you think this will mean for them?
It's brilliant for the Liverpool fans. It's what they've dreamed for. They've, in that period of not winning the league, they've won FA Cups and they've won the Champions League, and they've loved that. But Liverpool see themselves as the best team in England. In history, they want to be the team that's at the top, and it will have hurt them that long 30 years where Man United were the best team in the land and they were winning the league every other year. And when Man United dropped off, then they were hoping it might be them, but again it was Chelsea or it was Man City, and finally they've got it right this year, and they've got hold of it. And I think that's one of the reasons why they'll be so tough to beat again next year, because 30 years is a long time to wait, and they won't want it to do that again. They'll want to make sure this is the start of something long and sustainable. And yeah, it's huge congratulations. The fans will enjoy it when they can, I'm sure. But it's a huge boost for the club, and it's what they've strived for. It's what they wanted, and yeah, they'll certainly enjoy the moment.
Yeah, fully deserved victory. The conclusion here, guys, is Liverpool are Premier League champions for the first time, first league title since 1990. Chelsea beating Man City 2-1 at home sealed the deal. And that's all we've got time for on the Football Social for this week. Make sure you subscribe to Football Daily and Soccer AM if you've enjoyed it. And Richard, massive thank you to you for your first appearance on the Football Social. You were absolutely phenomenal.
Quality.
Thank you. Sam, you brought fantastic energy as ever. Enjoy that Chelsea win late into the night. Mike McCubbs, legendary as ever. Thank you very much for watching the Football Social, guys. And here's what you can expect from us soon. So next time we will be with you is next Thursday for Man City giving a guard of honour to Premier League champions Liverpool. It's at 8 p.m. on Soccer AM and Football Daily's YouTube. Thank you very much for watching the Football Social tonight, the Sky Bet Football Social, and we will see you next Thursday. Goodbye.